They told her it was training. What she didn't know was that they were filming the whole time, and someone in that barracks had already decided she wasn't going to make it. The morning it started, Private First Class Dana Mercer had been awake since 4, not because Reveille demanded it, but because sleep had stopped being a place she could go. 3 weeks into her assignment at Fort Calloway's support battalion, she had already learned that exhaustion wasn't the enemy, the people above her were. She'd felt it in the way Sergeant Hollis looked at her during formation, like she was an inconvenience that had been delivered to the wrong address. She felt it in the silence that followed her every question, the kind of silence that isn't empty but packed full of contempt. She'd felt it, but she hadn't said a word. Dana was 23 years old, the first woman in her family to serve, and she had fought too hard to get here to be undone by the feeling in her room. But that morning, something was different. Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I genuinely love knowing who's on the other side of the screen. Hollis came in before the lights clicked on. Behind him was Corporal Wren, and behind Wren was a third figure Dana didn't recognize. A man holding something small and rectangular at his side. In the dim gray light of the barracks, she almost didn't see it. Almost. It was a phone, already angled toward her bunk. She told herself she was imagining things. She wasn't. Hollis dropped a bucket onto the floor between her and the bathroom entrance. The metal clang against concrete split the silence like a gunshot. Inside the bucket was a single scrub brush, bristles worn nearly flat, and no gloves. No gloves. The kind of detail that tells you everything you need to know about what someone. The whole block, with your hands. Dana looked at the bucket. She looked at the brush. She looked at the phone. And for one suspended moment, the entire world narrowed to a pinprick of fluorescent buzzing from the hallway light above her. Her stomach dropped, not from fear, she realized later, but from recognition. She recognized this. She'd heard about, so deliberate, so filmed. She bent down, picked up the brush, and said nothing. What followed was 47 minutes that Dana would spend the rest of her life trying to describe and never quite getting right. The bathroom tiles were cold under her bare knees. The smell was overwhelming, not just the chemical sting of old cleaning solution, but something underneath it, something human and humiliating. She scrubbed, her hands turned red, then raw. She could hear Hollis behind her, making remarks. Her usefulness, her right to be wearing the uniform she had on. At one point, he laughed, the kind of laugh that isn't about humor at all. The kind that's a door being slammed in your face. Through all of it, the phone kept filming Dot. She thought, if I stand up right now, it ends. And then she thought, no. If I stand up right now, they win. And they get to use whatever face I make doing it. So she kept scrubbing. Not because she was broken. Because she was thinking, there is a difference, and it matters enormously, and the people filming her didn't understand it yet. That quiet, or stand and be weaponized, is one of the cruelest things one person can force another to feel. And Dana felt every ounce of it pressing down on her like a weight between her shoulder blades. She was halfway through the third stall when she heard a different kind of footstep in the hallway. Sergeant. Major Elaine Voss had been at Fort Calloway. For 11 years, she was not a dramatic woman. She did not raise her voice unless she needed to, and she needed to infrequently, because 11 years had given her something that commands rooms without requiring volume, a particular quality of stillness that people instinctively respond to. She had been walking to her office when she passed the open bathroom door. She stopped. She took in the scene in less than 2 seconds, and then something shifted behind her eyes. Hollis. Her voice was level, absolutely level. He turned. The man with the phone turned. Ren turned. All three of them were suddenly aware that the temperature in the hallway had dropped several degrees. Give me that phone, Voss said. Dot what happened in the next 4 hours. Moved through the base like weather. Word spread the way it always does in closed military communities, faster than it should. Quieter than it seems, carried on the faces of people who are trying not to react. Dana was brought to the battalion commander's office. She sat with her raw hands folded in her lap and told the story, the same way she told it to herself while she was scrubbing, plainly, without performance, just the facts laid end to end. She shook once, briefly, when she described the sound of the bucket hitting the floor. The commander noticed. He wrote it down. By evening, Hollis had been formally relieved of duty pending investigation. Ren was being interviewed separately. It was now in the hands of people who were paid to care about it, but the moment that stayed with Dana, the one she would tell her younger sister about a year later over coffee, the one that didn't make it into any official report, happened much smaller. It happened when she walked back to her barracks that evening and found, sitting on her bunk, a pair of new work gloves. Them up. She held them for a long moment. Outside the window, the base was carrying on its ordinary evening life. Boots on pavement, someone calling a name across the yard, a light coming on in a window across the way. The world was intact. She was intact. Something that had been pulled taut inside her all day finally, quietly. But from the specific relief of knowing that the cruelty had been witnessed and that the witness had mattered, there is a reason we teach people that silence protects them. It rarely does. What actually protects people is other people. The sergeant major who stops walking, the anonymous hand that leaves gloves on a bunk, the investigator who writes down the tremble. Dignity is not self-sustaining. It needs tending. And more often than we remember. Somewhere in the building, someone is willing to tend it. Dana Mercer went on to serve 4 more years. But because she knew now exactly how to answer it, because courage isn't the absence of humiliation, it's the decision to outlast it, quietly. On your knees until the right footstep comes down the hall. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you haven't subscribed yet, join this community. We tell the stories that deserve to be remembered. I read every single one.